The Sisters of Charity Foundation really has been the convener of the community around this issue of addressing youth homelessness. Our foundation, one of our strategic priorities is to prevent and end homelessness of all kinds, and we've been focusing for the last couple of years around young people that are homeless, unaccompanied, meaning that they're not living with a parent but are on their own. The forum is really an opportunity to have our local providers and partners hear from some of the national experts that have come to Cleveland for the national symposium tomorrow. So we called it a local conversation. It's also an opportunity to give local partners the opportunity to see our plan, our vision for a plan for youth, and then and to weigh in and get support, and then to sign up, because we need everybody to participate. We really feel these are all of our children in the community, and we all need to come together for a solution. Their attendees are really a good mix of folks that work in the child welfare system for the county, work for some of the agencies that work with foster youth, work for some of the homeless service providers. So we have a pretty strong homelessness provider system in the community, that work for housing organizations that can actually provide housing for young people, that work with other support services for young folks, some funders, and some folks from the public sector as well. I think we've seen an increasing amount of attention at the federal level around the issue of youth homelessness. It's an area of homelessness that has not had as much attention as other areas. Long-term chronic homelessness, veterans homelessness certainly has a lot of attention, and we feel that it is really a critical issue that needs to be addressed at this time. Because there has not been as much attention on this issue, it's hard to know what are the best interventions to prevent and end homelessness for young people. But certainly knowing the connection with the child welfare system is really what led us to a partnership with Jim Casey Youth Opportunities, as they are working to make sure there's successful transitions from foster care. But it's also important to know that not all children, in fact, most children don't leave the foster care system right into homelessness. It's something that occurs later as they're transitioning into adulthood without the proper supports. I think it's because there's a counterintuitive process that really makes you believe that at 18 you're really an adult. And if you think back to your own sort of transition from adolescence into adulthood, at age 18 we're not nearly ready to be self-sufficient and get by without all the supports. Simple things like renting an apartment, how to manage a checkbook, maintaining longer-term employment, any of that is really new to all of us as we transition to adulthood. And so for those who don't have an intact family, who are homeless or coming out of a public system, it's very difficult to just know how to do that intuitively. I don't think any of us knew that intuitively. People all need a family. I think that's very important. That's first and foremost. A permanent connection of some sort is very important, but we also believe that housing and a stable place to call home is really at the base of everything for your future. It's hard to do anything, go to school, have a job, really focus on your emotional and physical well-being if you don't have a place to live, because then all of your focus is on where you're going to sleep. So Place For Me is actually a community-wide initiative to create a vision and a plan to prevent and end youth homelessness, starting with focusing on kids as they age out of the foster care system in partnership with Jim Casey. So it is a program or an initiative that the Sisters of Charity Foundation has helped to fund and partner with, but we have many partners at the table, from the child welfare system, from the homelessness system, from the housing system, education, employment, youth employment, all the pieces and parts that are needed to ensure stable homes. The important thing about a place for me to remember is it's not an actual place, a physical place. It's really this idea, and the name came from the youth, group of youth themselves, really this idea that there should be a place for everyone. So young people want a place for me. And so really it is going to eventually become a plan, a community-wide plan that will be implemented, that will look at how do we build a safety net of support, both when kids are launching into adulthood from the foster care system, but also other kids who are not connected to the system but are experiencing homelessness or very vulnerable housing situations like couch surfing or doubled up with other family members and friends. And how do we help support them out in the community and then quickly connect them into housing? And for a young person, the housing could be a college dorm. Get them into residential colleges where they can stay in a dorm. It might be having an apartment with a friend. It might be any of the things that anybody from an intact family might have done as they are between the ages of 18 and 24. We want to make sure we have a system of support for young people that don't have other support so that they can experience the same developmental transitions. So the Sisters of Charity Foundation of Cleveland has really focused on the issue of ending homelessness in this community for over a decade now. And as a result of bringing community partners together with the Office of Homeless Services, which is the public agency, Enterprise Community Partners, and Cleveland Housing Network, Eden, and Frontline Services really have developed a system to address housing those with the longest term of homelessness, so the chronic homeless. And we've reduced now in our county chronic homelessness by 70% as a result of that partnership. And so really building on that success, wanting to replicate that and really end and prevent youth homelessness.